Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. Today, I have with me Alison Margaritis. Did I say that right?
You did. Well done.
Thank goodness. I totally forgot. I almost always check beforehand, but I forgot to do that. So Alison Margaritis, and as you can already tell from her accent, she's not from the US, people. So we're super excited to have our second Aussie on the show. And so Alison started over 30 years ago her personal development, health, and healing journey, albeit one that ebbed and flowed with the changing stages of life. With her husband, Con, raising 3 well-adjusted, heart-centered humans who are forging ahead successfully on their individual paths has been one of her greatest joys and challenges in life. Entering the network marketing space with an introduction to Arbonne 7 years ago while working full-time as an accountant was a blessing that has brought great joy, personal growth, beautiful friendships, and balance into her life. Being able to reduce work stresses and bring the fun back into every day, the gift of choice, is one that Alison loves to share with others. So welcome to the show, Alison.
Thank you so much, Jennie. Great to be here.
I am so glad you're here. So you are currently an accountant working still in the accounting space. Is that correct?
That is correct. I work a couple of days a week and it's based at my daughter's school. So it's a fabulous environment. And I get to have school holidays off generally, which is really nice.
That I do remember those days when I worked in schools myself. And yes, having, 2.5 to 3 months off in the summer holidays was wonderful. So Alison, so you're working part-time as an accountant and you are running your Arbonne business full-time now, pretty much, right? So let's start at the beginning though. How did you get introduced into your Arbonne business?
Well, I was introduced via a friend who said, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" And I thought, I'm not doing anything. So popped over to her place where she was actually launching her business. And that was my first exposure, first opportunity to hear about the company and try the products. And I just fell in love with the products. And of course, being an accountant, you've got to get them at the best possible price. So knowing absolutely nothing about the business structure, I came on as a consultant because I thought, well, that's the best price to get the products at. And really did not look at the business side of things at all initially. I started just with sharing products with family, and actually people at work within a very short space of time started seeing and commenting on a difference it's seen in my skin. Of course, they actually had no idea that I'd changed my skincare. And I thought, well, if I'm able to share some of this product and earn a little bit of income without doing anything, what if I actually put a bit of intention to it? And so, it was a couple of months after I was first introduced to it that I then actually started sharing with intention and really just continued on my journey, which has been absolutely brilliant.
That is awesome. And now that you've been doing it for 7 years, you have probably had all the fun ups and downs that everybody has in business, regardless of their business model type. Share with us, what are some of the great ups that you've had, the achievements, the accomplishments that you have gotten because of your time with Arbonne?
Look, some of the achievements I think really have been, or the achievements brings to mind financial or physical. And whilst they are there, I think the benefits and what I've gained primarily has been my personal growth and the friendships, because the friendships are just extraordinary. As far as accomplishments go, I have earned a number of incentives along the way, which has been fabulous, because Arbonne is an incredibly generous company, generous with their time, with their incentives for consultants and for clients alike. So that is really, really fabulous. But definitely a couple of the trips away on conference with the team is really special. It's being able to bond and lift each other up and support each other in a way that you don't get to do in a day-to-day. And it's something that I'm really excited about, because where are we? In March, we're actually going to get to have another in-person conference, the first for a couple of years, which is really, really exciting just to get back in together with everybody.
That is exciting. Yeah, because I think especially for the listener who's listening right now, who maybe joined their business and started their direct sales or network marketing business during COVID, they've never experienced an in-person conference to know what that energy and that camaraderie is. Because I've had multiple people ask me in the past few years since I stepped back from being active in direct sales if I miss it. And the overall business part, not really. What I do miss the most is going to conference and convention. And so, fun story, right? The fall before COVID hit, I actually did get to go to one of my clients' conventions. So she took me with her to her company convention so I could get to see what was going on with that company, because it was a new company to me and I wanted to learn about their culture and everything. So I highly recommend, people who are listening right now who haven't had the opportunity to go to their company convention in person or conference or whatever they call it. Every company has a different name for it, to go ahead and do that. So, from those times when you got to go to those before, what were some of your favorite benefits of attending those conferences in person?
Oh gosh, the benefits are huge in being able to connect with fellow consultants, not just from your direct line, but sister lines that may be in not even in the same city or state or country. So our conference is Australia, New Zealand. So being able to meet in person, or the Kiwis that we connect with over Zoom, or we'll see elevate through company information, and actually get to meet them and talk with them and realise they are absolutely no different to me, and it's just a matter of doing more. So those connections, both within the country as well as outside of the country, is fabulous. Obviously, there's training. We always have an external speaker, and I've been really blessed to hear from some incredible speakers that the company brings in, from the likes of Mel Robbins and John O'Leary, just to name two. This year we've actually got an Aussie, Kemi Neck-for-Pill. And if you haven't followed Kemi on Instagram, it's Kemi. She is brilliant. She's a fabulous coach. She really has such a vibrant energy. So I'm really looking forward to spending time with Kemi. And then obviously there's freebies and new products and in-house training as well, which is second to none. And that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. And I think too, when you also get to, and I'm assuming this will hopefully be your case, bring your team with you. So the people you sponsored and those who sponsored you, and really just sometimes some of the best things happen, not necessarily in the training room, but in the hotel room between sessions, right?
Yes.
That's when the real bonding happens. Yeah.
True. Absolutely. Because whilst we have conference during the day, you have the breakout times, but we always have social dinners and end of conference party. So you're able to really just be yourself and connect on a heart level. And that's what I I really love, because if I'm wanting to connect with someone, I don't like the superficial. It's like, hi, how are you? It's like, yeah, I'm good, thank you. And that's where it goes. And with some people, it's like, no, it's like, how are you really? What's been happening in your family? What's been happening in your other work life? What is it that's really lighting you up, in Arbonne or out of Arbonne? Because we are all so multifaceted.
Yes.
And that's delving into those other areas when I connect with people is what I love to do.
Oh, and you are not alone. You're definitely not alone in that. Given the number of people that I have done DISC assessments with based on their personality style and their values, and a lot of people in network marketing love that heart-to-heart connection, that soul-to-soul connection, more so than even the money.
Yeah.
So that's the big driver for them. And it sounds like you are really people-driven.
Definitely. And your comment there is so true of many, in that whilst initially I loved the products, I wasn't interested in money. There are a lot of people who come into network marketing thinking, yep, I need an extra, few hundred, few thousand, whatever it may be. But in the long run, the money very quickly becomes secondary, because it's the personal development and the connections and the friendships that maintain you on other levels. It's really interesting. Very early on in my business, I had people asking me, being in Arbonne, oh, that's just makeup. Aren't women really bitchy? Aren't they competitive? And it's like, not at all. It's like the culture within our team, within this company, is such one of lifting up and empowering people to be the best, whatever that is. And if that's for someone who just wants extra couple of $100 a month so that it can go towards a holiday or new shoes or whatever, or you want to go really quickly all the way to the top, we'll celebrate and support you regardless, because it's you. You is the key ingredient within the business.
Absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right. One of the great benefits of a network marketing business, especially like Arbonne, is the opportunity to do with it what you will.
Absolutely.
There's the sky is the limit, right? It really, there actually are no limits in many cases to what you can achieve, except for what you limit yourself in your head. I'm sitting here pointing my head like the audience can see that. There's really no limit except for what you think about yourself and what you think is possible, what you're willing to do. So in all of this time you've been building this business, going through, what is something, because we said earlier, there are ups and downs in business. We talked about the ups. What is maybe something that you've had to deal with in your 7 years that you've been able to overcome, and how did you overcome that struggle or that difficulty?
Well, one of the key ones that actually comes to mind is at one point, a team member absolutely going really, really well, and then discovered alongside this, she'd also joined another company. And whilst she was building within my team and we were elevating, turned around the next minute and it's like, she's gone. And it's like, okay, that's fine. It's a blessing, because if it didn't happen now, something would have happened down the track. And I really want to work with people that want to work with me and love what we have to offer. And it's not for everybody. And that's just part of the journey. And so there is a saying that at each stage of elevation, you will more than likely be rebuilding a new team as you elevate through the company, because people come in, people go out, and life happens. And I know that's happened for me as well. I've gone up, I've maintained my entire time as I've gone up. But there have been periods where my personal business has really, I won't say suffered, but it has dropped because of life getting in the way. And that's okay, because that is the beauty of this industry, is that you can pause and it will still be there when you're ready. When you come back, it will be there, and you come back a different person.
Yeah.
You come back with renewed vigor, with renewed goals and excitement, and that's good for everybody.
Yeah, it definitely is. The nice thing about, essentially having the opportunity to start over each month as you go through your process is that excitement of saying, who do I get to meet this month? Who do I get to work with? Who do I get to help this week? Right. So as you've been going through your business, looking back to the Alison who got started, so thinking back to her, what do you wish someone might have shared with you, either about the business or entrepreneurship in general, with that Alison who is getting started 7 years ago?
Look, I have, outside of network marketing, I've always had the belief that everything happens for a reason. And having that at the forefront within my network marketing early on, I think is really, really important, because whether people join you or not, whether they choose to try the product or not, it's not a reflection on you. It's just where they're at and what's happening for them at that point in time. And being able to be neutral to a degree and not take those rejections or those obstacles personally, because it has absolutely nothing to do with you. If you are offering from a place of service and of love, not coming from a place of, I need a sale, I'm desperate. And I know we all do that early on at different stages. That's part of the journey. But being able to come from a place of service and understand that even though I can see what I have to offer and how it can benefit, other people don't necessarily see that or feel that at that point in time. And as I said, it's nothing personal. And at the same time, it's really, really important to maintain the connection, that the connection isn't just about wanting to make a sale. The connection is with the person. And so I have clients who have been with me from day dot, and I have clients who, may have been introduced in the first 1 or 2 years and then dropped off, but then they've come back because I've maintained every now and then, hi, how are you? How's life treating you? And I think that's really important, to be able to separate yourself and just acknowledge that this is where I am, this is where you are. Sometimes there is a bridge, other times there's not, and that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, so important. I mean, the part of the reason that so many network marketers feel icky, for lack of a better term, feel gross about the sales process is because they're so often going into it just trying to get that sale, like that desperation you talked about earlier. And instead of building those relationships, building those conversations naturally and finding out what their health goals are, what their skincare goals are, whatever it may be in relation to your company. Luckily, Arbonne has that huge product line from which to choose, right?
Absolutely.
What their focus really is on. And so you're able to then provide a solution in an area that they may not have realized that you could do that. But it's just from building that natural relationship and listening to what people are saying carefully, right?
Exactly.
So, and of course, you and I met my listeners are not, my regular listeners, my consistent listeners are not going to be shocked when they find out how you and I met, how I can be in the US and you can be in Australia and you're suddenly showing up on the podcast. It's got to be through BNI, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about your BNI journey. How did you get into BNI as part of your Arbonne business, and how has that really benefited your business to do that?
So probably midway through my Arbonne journey, looking to find ways to connect with new people, and Upline said, well, why don't you try some different networking groups? And there were a couple of BNI chapters around where I live. So I thought, I'll go and visit. So I merrily went around and visited from BNI chapter to BNI chapter and did my, 15 seconds of, who I am. And as I was listening to the members speak, making a note of, that painter really needs our hydration and our energy fizz with the hours that he's doing. And so I'd make a point of connecting with them, if I could, after the meeting and say, hey, I hear this is what you're doing. Have you tried? Mm-hmm. So I would just go around and visit for a while and then did nothing with it. And then during COVID, I actually thought, okay, I need to get out and meet some new people. So I revisited a couple of chapters, and the chapter that I ended up joining was just so welcoming and friendly, and realizing for myself that early on I was visiting, looking for connections, looking for a sale.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came back, it's like, I'm here wanting to connect with people. Mm. And hence I found the chapter who was really warm and friendly, and I felt was a really good fit for me. And they also had a great health and wellness cohort. So that was fabulous. And as I said, it was through COVID. So, we've had in the, 14 or so months that I've been a member, I think we've met in person for about 4 times or 5 times. Mm. And that has been brilliant to be able to have those relationships cemented and built on another level in person has been fabulous.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was going to say, and for those who are listening who may not be aware, BNI helped their chapters transition to an online format. And so doing meetings online virtually has allowed members to continue their connections and now even for us to go international, because now everybody knows how to use Zoom.
And it does make such a difference in being able to connect with people in other markets is fabulous.
And you are able, I'm assuming you are able to do business with people in any of the countries where Arbonne has a presence?
That's correct. So whether it be the US, Poland, the UK, Canada, New Zealand, wherever people are, and that's one thing I love about our website, is that I can be here in Australia. I've got a client and friend in the UK. I'll just click onto the UK tab within the website, place my order, and her order is shipped to her from the UK warehouse within a couple of days. And it's brilliant. It makes birthdays and gift giving so much easier.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's really great that they've already made that transition, because I know when I was still active in direct sales, many companies, even just a few years ago, could not do international sales. So if I was here in the US, and even though my company was in Germany, I couldn't sell to someone in Germany. They had to go through a local rep instead of me. So the fact that you are able now to cross those international borders is awesome and amazing to be able to do that. So that's really super cool. And because you're able to do business with anyone in those 7 countries, and by the way, every one of the countries you listed is a country where this podcast can be heard. And so you may just hear from somebody in one of those countries, Alison. And so you have very generously donated, or you have a little freebie for a few of our listeners. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you have to offer?
Absolutely, Jenny. So, as I said, I love to be able to connect with people and find out how I can be of service. So, I'm offering the first 5 listeners a one-to-one consult. Now, whilst the easiest one is probably skin, because of the Zoom and the fact that we can connect visually, it could be a makeup consult, or it could be a nutrition with our healthy living range. So first 5 listeners, a one-to-one consult just by flicking me an email. I think given time zones and countries is the best way to connect.
Mm-hmm.
And they will then also receive a 35% discount on anything that they choose to order.
That is awesome. So the first 5 who reach out to Alison by sending her an email, and yes, we do have her email in the show notes. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, make sure you click on the episode on your phone as long as you're not driving. And when you click on the episode on your phone, you can scroll up just a little bit and you'll see the show notes below the episode art there on your screen. And you'll see Alison's email to send her that email. So we don't have to spell it out. So people can just click right there from their phone, send the email right now. Don't assume that she's already had the 5 people. I don't care if you're listening to this 4 years later. She may still offer it to you. Who knows? Because that's the great thing about podcasts. Podcasts are forever. So please send your email, click that right now, reach out to Alison right now in order to set up that conversation with her so you can get 35% off of your skincare or health and wellness products or whatever it may be that you decide to discuss with her. So Alison, thank you for sharing your experience and your knowledge here. I so appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Jenny. And it just dawned on me as you were chatting, sure, to make sure people do mention that in the email that it's coming from Badass, but also realizing if people want to connect and send me a message, whether it be Facebook or Instagram, I am the only Alison Margaritis. So
nice.
That is very unique, which is wonderful. So you can find me, just on socials by my name. So that's
wonderful. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So if you guys want to connect with Alison to get to know her as a human being, you can certainly do that through all of the socials. We have all of her connecting links in the show notes. And yes, please, when you send that email out to Alison, make sure you mention that you found out about her from the Badass Direct Sales Mastery podcast so that you get that nice handy dandy little discount during your conversation with her if you're one of the first 5. So Alison, again, thank you so much. I mentioned this during our pre-interview. I love talking to Aussies and New Zealanders because you guys are always a day ahead of us. And so I can already see the sun is shining. It's going to be a beautiful day for us here in St. Louis tomorrow.
Oh, I was going to say it's definitely warmer here than it is in St. Louis. That's for sure.
Yes. Right now, you guys are in summertime. We're in wintertime at the time of this recording. But that's okay. And someday, it's nice to know that someday because I do plan on eventually making it to Australia someday, because it's on my bucket list, know that I can reach out and say, hey, Alison, I'm going to be in your country. Can I stop by and say hi?
Looking forward to it, Jenny. Absolutely.
I thank you so much. Thanks again for being here, Alison. We really appreciate getting all levels of experience and thoughts from different people. So sharing your expertise is greatly appreciated because our listeners just love hearing from other people in the industry, especially from companies that they may not even be aware exist. So thank you again, Alison. And listener, make sure you stay tuned because you know how it goes. There's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.